First of all, good evening. My name is Rick Harrison. I am the Tooele Education Association President, and I would like to welcome everyone to our TEA-sponsored Meet the Candidate Night for District 1. Tooele Education Association is grateful for all three of our candidates, Albert Bodema, Sandy Critchlow, and Bob Gowns, and they've all agreed to join us tonight, and we appreciate them taking time out of their schedule to be with us. We also express our appreciation to these three candidates for their interest and commitment to Tooele County School District over a lifetime. The job of board member pays less than you will spend doing the job. It means that you'll be on call for the citizens of our county 24/7, 365 days out of the year. This is a challenging time for our school district, but with challenges come opportunities for change and for growth. We as the leaders of the Tooele Education Association are excited for the future, and we look forward to working with the Board of Education to shape the future of education in our school district. TA would also like to express our appreciation for the citizens who are attending tonight's event and taking this opportunity to learn more about the candidates vying to be the District 1 board member. We appreciate the great support we have from all of our stakeholders throughout the county. The format tonight will be as follows. We will first give each candidate 3 minutes to introduce themselves and share with us why they want to be the District 1 school board representative. After that, TEA has prepared 7 questions that we would like to ask each candidate. We will change the order of who will answer first, second, and third with each question. Now, for those who are participating that are not the 3 candidates, if you would, you'll notice at the bottom of your screen, if you just click on the bottom, you'll see a bunch of things show up. Right in the middle, there is a little chat feature. If you would push that chat over on the right, you'll see a Zoom group chat show up, and you will be able to submit any questions that you may have for the candidates. Those questions will again be answered at the end. We'll allow all 3 candidates to answer, and we'll change the order that they will present. At the conclusion of the audience questions, we'll give each candidate 3 minutes to share with us any final thoughts that they have, and we will begin with the person that was up next in the rotation of the questions. Our moderator tonight is Ashlyn Drew, one of our TEA Executive Board members, and TEA Executive Board member Craig Harrison will be our timer. We have set aside 3 minutes for the introduction and then 1 minute for each question. When you reach 1 minute, Craig will just say time. Feel free to finish, the thought that you're in the middle of. Don't feel like you've got to stop right on the word at that moment. So we again want to thank our candidates and the audience for their attendance and your commitment to the education of our students in Tooele County. I will now turn the time over to our moderator for tonight, Ashlyn Drew.
Hi guys, welcome. We will start with our first candidate. You have your 3 minutes to introduce yourself, and the first candidate that will be up is Albert.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for the opportunity to share with you my feelings and views and why I'm running for Tooele County Board of Education District seat number 1. I appreciate your time and your concern. My name's Albert Bodema. I am the father of 4, currently reside here in Tooele. I'm a Tooele High graduate, class of 1971. All my children and grandchildren have been educated in Tooele County schools or are currently being educated. All of my 4 daughters have graduated from Tooele High School. I worked for Tooele County School District for 46 years. I served as a custodian in the beginning of my career for about 8 years at Tooele High School and Stansbury Park Elementary. I then moved to the district maintenance crew, and in that service in the district maintenance crew, I served 5 years as the district's energy manager, trying to save money on our facilities and our utility costs. I currently coach track and field at Tooele High School. I have been doing that for 25 years. I've also operated the clocks for football and basketball for about the last 30 plus years. I enjoy participating with the kids. I love the students. I served 2 terms as a president of the Tooele Classified Employees Association and 15 years as a member of their executive board and negotiating team. I've been recognized by the Tooele School District Classified Employee of the Year in 2001, and also by the State of Utah Classified Employees Association as Maintenance Employee of the Year in 2002. I have served as a leader and a trainer in the Boy Scouts of America. I am a member of the Wall of Fame at Tooele High School, and I am also a member of the Settlement Canyon chapter of the Sons of the Utah Pioneers. I wanted to run because I feel like a person who holds an elected office, whether it be a Board of Education member or others, should represent the interests and concerns of the patrons who elect them. They need to, an elected official needs to seek the input from taxpayers, parents, students, and district employees on matters that the Board of Education is considering. I believe that that information needs to be shared before the board meets to discuss those items. One of my strengths is in the facilities and the building costs, and I feel like it is important that we restore the integrity of the relationship between the school district and the
Greg is
citizens.
trying to say time, but he can't unmute himself, so time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next representative up will be Sandy.
Unmute her.
I don't know why this is. Okay, let me come over in this place and I'll. Sorry.
Okay.
We heard her for a second. There we go.
Have you got me now?
We've got you.
Okay, good enough. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Sandy Critchwell, and I am born and raised in Tooele County. I was actually born in Tooele and raised at Dugway Proving Grounds, where I attended high school, grade school and high school. I've raised my 2 children, and my husband has raised his 5 children. Blended, we've done that together. In the Tooele County School District, our grandchildren and now my great-grandchildren. I have great-grandkids in school in Grantsville, and my grandkids are in school in several schools in Tooele and Grantsville. I have volunteered for several years at the schools. When I lived at Dugway and now that I live in Tooele. I have a local business here, and I think everybody knows I also am a real estate agent. And so I volunteer through my Kiwanis Club in the Tooele schools. And I too am just as passionate about the kids, obviously with my kids, my grandkids, and my great-grandkids, about our students. I'd like to be involved with the students to see what I can do for kids, involve parents. I think parents and kids all need to be vested in their school along, not just our teachers and our staff, but I think everybody together plays a collective part for success. So that's why I chose to run this year. I know it's a difficult year, and what's coming ahead is going to be more difficult. But I would like to be involved in that to see how I can take my skills and input them with our school district and make a difference. So that is why I chose to run. So thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you. We appreciate it. All right. Our next candidate up will be Bob. Hold on, Bob. You're still on mute. There you go.
Okay, my name's Bob Gowns. Most of you know me by Bob Gowns. I really go, and on the ballot it'll be Robert Gowns. Usually it was only my mother that called me Robert, and it's usually when I was in trouble. And so I don't use that. I don't use Robert a lot. But I was born and raised in Tooele. just up from Twila High School, a block and a half from Twila High School. I'm from a family of 4 boys. My mom and dad was Jim and Patsy Gowns. My dad still lives there. I graduated like Albert. I graduated in 1978, so Albert is just a little bit older than I am. But I graduated in 1978 from Twila High School, and then I went to Utah State and graduated with a degree in education, ag education, in 1982. I later received a master's degree in education. I spent most of my time at Twila High School. I spent 32 years at Twila High School. I spent 5 years in Emery County, and all of it was to be a classroom teacher. I had many people ask me. I had a lot of offers to go into administration and different things. I served as part-time administrator numerous times at Twila High School in the absence of the principal. But my basic love was for the students. I liked being in the classroom. I found that I wanted to be an advocate for students. A lot of times I didn't think students had advocates that they could rely on and go to when they needed help. My last year with the district, I spent part-time in the district office, and I enjoyed the job, but it wasn't like the classroom. You didn't have that ability to be with the students each and every day. My wife and I, we have three kids of our own. 2 of my kids have gone into education. They are ag teachers, one here in Twila School District and the other one in Granite School District. My son lives with us because of a traumatic brain injury that he had when he was 15 years old. And I think that's one of the things that have led me to kind of into the path of being so much wanting to be a student advocate. I found that through that process of him going through the hospital and getting back into the school, there's only a few people that wanted to really help. And I was a little disappointed because I was always raised with the idea that it takes a village to raise a child. And I was a little disappointed that some people didn't want to step up and help. When he wanted to come back to Twila High School, there was only a few teachers at the start that I could work with or even convince that they could have him in class. And so that's my biggest reason, I think, for wanting to run for the school board, is to be a student advocate. My other reason is I think the school board should exhibit leadership. It doesn't matter whether you're the board president or you're the board vice president or just just the other board members. Everybody should have leadership. And I just okay.
All right. Thank you guys for introducing yourself to those who are watching. Our first question will be for Sandy, and you will have 1 minute to answer this question, and Craig will continue to keep time. So Sandy, this first question is for you. What is your primary view of education, and how does this view support our district students, educators, and community?
Could you repeat that for me?
Yes.
My dog's whining in the background. I apologize.
No, you're fine. What is your primary view of education, and how does this view support our district students, educators, and community?
I think, well, of course, everyone is, education is key. Education is key to success for everyone. For our students, I think we need to make sure that we have good teachers. We're attracting good teachers, keeping good teachers, so that our kids get a good education. I also think it's key that parents be involved in that education and help with our students. There's a lot, it's a bigger picture, obviously, that goes into a lot of things, classroom size, and that they have safe environments. So it's a lot involved, but that's what I think is important, is parent and teacher involvement and supporting our teachers.
Okay, thank you. Bob, you will go next. If you would like me to repeat the question, please just ask.
Yes, please repeat that.
Okay. What is your primary view of education, and how does this view support our district students, educators, and community?
Well, my view of education is, because being a public educator, I view that all students deserve equal opportunities in public education. I think that supports what we try to do in the district. That supports what I've seen in our classrooms of our teachers. you know, we don't get to pick and choose who those students are in those classrooms. So we're working to try to provide equal opportunities for all students. I also think we have to take into consideration the safety and all those other aspects. And I think it's a collaborative effort between the school district, the school board, parents, and students.
Thank you, Bob. Albert, you will go next. If you would like me to repeat the question, please just ask.
Okay, on my end, it looks like you should be okay, Albert.
My mute button was on, sorry. Would you
Okay.
please repeat the question? Thank you.
Yes. What is your primary view of education, and how does this view support our district students, educators, and community?
Thank you for that question. My primary view is that we need to restore the confidence with the citizens in financial responsibility and helping educate the student. I think that all needs to work together. I think there needs to be community input. I think students need to have input prior to decisions being made. I also think that the district needs to be financially responsible to its taxpayer base. But students are the number one priority, and I would support a broader educational program that included technical and trades.
Thank you. All right, for our second question, Bob will go first. And here is our second question. What are your views of the respective roles of all stakeholders?
Well, as I said, I am big on collaboration. You know, the school board is the policymakers of the district, but I don't think they can make these decisions in silos. You know, one of the discouraging things for me in the past school board members in the past few years is that you have to sign up just if you want to speak in a school board. I don't think that's right. I think if you are voting for school board members, you ought to be able to come to a meeting and speak in a public forum. So I believe that all stakeholders should have a right and ability to help in these decision makings. Been asked the question, what are we going to do about COVID? Are we having masks or are we not having masks? My opinion is we need to get the word out and let people tell us what they want for their students.
Thank you, Bob. All right, Albert, you will go second. If you need me to repeat the question, just ask.
Yes, please.
Okay, what are your views of the respective roles of all stakeholders?
I've got to agree with what Bob said too. That one of my things is the public's voice needs to be heard, and that's who the board members represent, and to be able to share what needs to be done. I too am concerned about what's going to happen as we return to school. What's the plan? I've had many questions from parents. We don't know anything that's going on. I think that the broad spectrum needs to be opened up and discussed so that everybody, particularly the students and the parents, have a chance to input as to what we're going to do coming back to school. We've
Thank
all
you.
got to work together.
Thank you, Albert. All right, Sandy, you are third.
Hey, I think first of all, we need to listen to our students. Our students have to have a input on what's happening in their classroom, in school, and moving forward. So for me personally, I have one granddaughter that's a senior. What does her senior year look like? Then I have them all the way down to grade school level. What does their classrooms look like? And as parents and as grandparents, we want the safety for our kids as well. Their health, their education. Education is what's important. This COVID thing can affect our kids for years to come. And of course, I agree, everybody has to come to the table and have input. But our students and our parents also have to know what we, as the leaders of our community, are doing for them.
Thank you. Our next question, Albert will go first. And here is question number 3. Describe your personal experience and involvement with the public schools that qualifies you to be a school board member. How will this experience influence your work as a school board member? And Albert is up.
Thank you for that question. As I stated in my opening statement, I have worked for the school district for 46 years, so I have been involved intimately in education that entire time. My children received an excellent education, and so do my grandchildren here. And I think that we need to make sure that that provision keeps going on, and that by having worked for the district, having a knowledge of facilities, that I can bring those things to the table to help even on the financial end and the growth in Tooele School District and Tooele County. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy, you are next. If you need me just to repeat the question, please ask.
Yes, would you repeat that for me?
Yes, I will. Describe your personal experience and involvement with the public schools that qualifies you to be a school board member. How will this experience influence your work as a board member?
Well, I volunteer in the schools. Currently now, I volunteer in as many schools as will have me. And I think I can bring, I'd like to say that I can bring a fresh new set of eyes to helping educate our kids and be involved. I am semi-retired, and so I'd like to think that my door is open. I can be there at a moment's notice to help parents and students and teachers. So I think I have a new set of eyes I can bring to the table.
Thank you, Sandy. All right, Bob, you are next. If you need me to repeat the question, please ask.
Yeah, let's have you do that.
Okay, describe your personal experience and involvement with the public schools that qualifies you to be a school board member. How will this experience influence your work as a board member?
Besides being a teacher for 37 years, I was also in the TEA leadership, either as president or vice president, for 16 years. So I was involved with active negotiations for 16 years. I'm very familiar with budgets, both money coming from both state funds and federal funds, and how the state funds education. I've continued to follow that as I retired. I kind of like politics and lobbying and that type of thing a little bit. I'm also pretty well experienced in lobbying at the state capitol and also in the nation. You know, going to DC. I've spent quite a bit of time in DC talking to different congressmen about education and educational programs. So I feel like I have that leadership ability, and I have the knowledge of the financial part of the district to help make those decisions.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, for question number 4, let's see, sorry, Sandy will go first. So our question 4 is, recent events surrounding COVID-19 expose the challenges of making education accessible to everyone. How will you as a board member address this concern?
Well, we have to keep our students safe, but we also need to take into consideration our teachers. Our teachers go home to a family and children of their own. The COVID presents a unique set of challenges for everyone: students, parents, teachers, staff, everyone, leaders. I think safety is key, but we don't want to, I mean, our teachers have done a fantastic job with the online teaching that they've done since this started the first of the year. Our teachers have rolled out the red carpet and done a fantastic job. So I think working together, we can probably meet the challenges. What's facing us, none of us really know what's ahead. So it's going to be a learning experience for everybody involved.
Thank you, Sandy. Bob, you will go second. And the question is, recent events surrounding COVID-19 exposed the challenges of making education accessible to everyone. How will you, as a board member, address this concern?
Well, I've actually been working on a few things. I've talked to the superintendent and a few people. I was really concerned. And first of all, I want to applaud all the teachers for a fantastic job they did. I've done some online teaching, and it's not easy. But I was concerned about how they were going to grade students, because some of the methods or some of the things that were talked about was going to leave a long-lasting effect. It would cut many of our students out of scholarships. It would cut students out of NCAA and things like that, because they wouldn't accept those type of grades. I think those all are going to have to be managed. I think you're going to have to listen to the public. Most of the people I've talked to, they don't want to have kids home every day. I realize we have to also listen to the health experts and see what goes on. But I think we can make some educated decisions. Best case scenarios, kids have a teacher in front of them every day. That's Bob Gowns' opinion. They learn better in your classroom and in front of you every day.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, Albert, the question is, recent events surrounding COVID-19 expose the challenges of making education accessible to everyone. How will you, as a board member, address this concern?
My first thing would be is to involve the parents throughout the county and their concerns. I think also that the district would be wise to find out how many of the students are going to return to school in a setting of online or choosing homeschooling over with. At least then we would have some numbers to be able to kind of build a program as we need to social distance in classrooms. The logistics of coming back to school are huge. They're almost overwhelming. And the safety of the student and the teacher and every employee needs to be number one. And some things are going to have to be sacrificed, and we're all going to have to work together to come to the table. But I think the community has got to be involved, and I feel like we're way behind having community involvement and community input, and that the Board of Education needs to address that.
Thank you. Okay, for question number 5, Bob will go first. And the question is, how do you see your role as a board member in supporting a culturally inclusive education system for all stakeholders?
I see, again, I think being a board member is about board leadership. I think they have to take the lead on those things. They have to be out, in the, and work with the public in this inclusion that you talk about. I think, everybody has, I think one of the problems that we do have kind of got ourselves into a hole is, like Albert says, a lot of the community doesn't have the trust because too many decisions are made in silos without their input or without even being able to give input. And so I think that's my role as a board member. My role as the board member is to get all input that I possibly can before a decision is made.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, Albert, this question is for you. How do you see your role as a board member in supporting a culturally inclusive education system for all stakeholders?
My first thought is that I would like to be an advocate more for the patrons of the district and to go hold town hall type meetings, to meet with faculties, to meet with groups of students, get their input on how they feel things are going. Equality is for everyone, and it's going to take all of us together to solve that situation, whether it be racial or even gender related. We've got some unique situations to deal with, and we've got to come up with some unique situations within the laws of our country and our state and our county. And the Board of Education needs to be setting those policies and directing the administration to administer those policies as set by the Board of Education.
Thank you, Albert. All right, Sandy. The question is, how do you see your role as a board member in supporting a culturally inclusive education system for all stakeholders?
Well, I think we need to listen to our parents and our students. I mean, we should send out a survey and ask people what input they would like to have. And not just our teachers and our teachers, our stakeholders, our staff, parents, students. I think we ought to ask, what is it that you want that we can do for you as leaders in our community and in our school? What is it that they want that we can do?
Thank you. Okay, for question 6, we have Albert as going first. And the question is, what strategies would you recommend to continue and improve communication among the board members, community, and educators?
Again, transparency and getting the community involved. As I attended several meetings of the bond proposal, I was kind of dismayed at the apathy of the turnout, and I wonder why that is happening. And I feel like we have to get back to grassroots, and that the input needs to come before decisions are made, as policies are being made. I think we need to find a way to get that out, not just in a board document or something, or an agenda. I think that needs to be out to the public for the public to do. And as a board member, that's part of my response. That would be part of my responsibility to get that information out to my constituents.
Thank you, Albert. Sandy, for question 6, it is, what strategies would you recommend to continue and improve communication among the board members, community, and educators? Hold on, you're still on mute, Sandy. He's trying to fix it. There you go.
Okay, you got it? Okay. We live in a different time today. There was a time when we had dads working and moms staying home, and now we have both parents working and sometimes commuting and working. So we have to get out there. Somehow we have to stay in front of and communicate with our parents and our teachers to make this a success and educate our students the best that we can. But again, I sound like a broken record, but communication is key.
Thank you, Sandy. All right, Bob, the question is, what strategies would you recommend to continue and improve communication among the board members, community, and educators?
Well, first of all, I think the board members need to make themselves available. I know that through the last little while, I've left a number of phone messages to various board members, and they won't even return a phone call. I think, Albert brought up a key buzzword in education, and that's transparency. It's hard to be transparent if you're not willing to answer a question. And so I think, as a board member, I'm always open to questions. Now, am I open to video questions? I would rather speak face to face. I'm not a Facebooker. I don't particularly do well with text, but I do pretty good on the phone and when people call and ask questions. And I guarantee I'm a guy that will answer the phone, may not on the West Desert, but I will after I get your message. And so that's, I think that's what it has to take. It's going to have to take board members that want to serve the public. It's not just about going in and making policy. You have to want to serve the public.
Thank you, Bob. All right, for our last TEA question, we have Sandy as going first. So the question is, what is your vision for managing and planning the continued growth and development within our school district?
Oh, that was a tough one. I think we need to meet with people. I agree. You have to meet face to face. Be willing to give people your email. Be willing to give people your phone number. Be available to see what concerns people have and listen. The growth is coming. We can't stop it. So we have to be willing to work with our staff and our teachers to see that we can, make sure that our children get the education that they deserve. The education that we got is what our children need today. So the growth is coming. We just need to be prepared for it.
Thank you, Sandy. Okay, Bob, this question is for you. What is your vision for managing and planning the continued growth and development within our school district?
Well, I think you have to have a plan. And I think that's sometimes where we've been failing, is that we're not having a plan, or we're not following a plan. I think though the plan could be a 10 or 20-year plan. I don't see the difference there. But the thing I do know is you can't go to the patrons of Tooele County every 3 years and ask for a bond, especially if you're going to build a school the day you open it and it's full. So when you're building these plans, you're going to have to amend these plans. You're going to have to look at it and keep it up to date. I said I'm planning and zoning in Tooele City for 11 years. The only way that growth stops is if you run out of water. Now, as a rancher, I think that might be, but people can buy water anywhere. Okay, and so there's not going to be a stop of growth. We have to manage it though, so that we're not pulling in modulars and those type of things at a brand new school site the year it opens or the year after it opens, and it's at capacity when we open it. So we've got to be more systematic in how we look at what we're doing.
Thank you. Okay, Albert, the question is, what is your vision for managing and planning the continued growth and development within our school district?
I think the one thing we need to do right at this moment is to rethink this bond proposal. It failed miserably to begin with. I think that I agree with what Bob says. There needs to be a 10 to 20-year plan. There needs to be a system to ensure that facilities we already have are taken care of or are upgraded as needed, that we strategically build facilities in strategic places with growth. I don't think that we can continue to afford brick and mortar. We've got to build for the growth that's going to come, because as we said, the growth is coming. We're not going to stop it. And so there's got to be a 10 to 20-year plan out there. But strategic location of those schools is very important, of the placement of those. And I think the public needs involvement. And I think it's the Board of Education's responsibility to do that, not the administration.
Thank you. All right, Rick, do we have any questions from the audience? I'm not seeing any. I just want to double check.
There are no questions from the audience at this time, Ashlyn. So, I think let's just give them, if you have questions, audience, put them in the chat right now. We've got a couple minutes here. And if you came in late, didn't understand where the chat was, it's the little button in the bottom in the middle of your screen. But we haven't had any come in yet.
Okay, we'll give it a few minutes to make sure that we don't have any questions, and then each of you will have 3 minutes just to kind of give us your final thoughts. So let's see if we have any questions come in, and then we'll kind of go from there. Let's give it a minute or so.
And Ashlyn, I think maybe we're good. I've already had a comment come in, said that those were good questions that covered the issues and things that they needed to hear. So I think let's go ahead and proceed.
Okay, so each of you will have 3 minutes just to kind of give us your closing thoughts. So we will start with Bob, and then it will be Albert, and then Sandy. So Bob, go ahead.
And Ashlyn, if we could, we just had one question pop in, so let's go ahead and if that's okay, I'll read that question. We'll go ahead and start with Bob and let Bob answer it and then take the order from there after that, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, here is the question. What are your plans to ensure student and staff safety in a situation such as the one that happened in Grantsville in January, which I would assume refers to the young man and the family where there were several of the family members that were shot and killed?
Right, Bob, we'll start with you.
You know, in those unfortunate situations, I think one of the things, and I believe one of the things that we failed to do was to let the staff help and let the staff be involved. I don't think you gain ground by hiding it from your staff and not allowing help. I know that in that situation, help was offered numerous times from both TEA and from other teachers, you know, other groups. And a lot of, because of the timing, the weekend or whatever, help wasn't accepted. I think we need to be willing to accept help. Those are horrendous things that both teachers and students are going through, and they need to be provided as much help as we possibly can give them to get through that. We don't let it get through the weekend and then try to play catch up. And I'm afraid that's what we did. And so, you know, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit blunt. You guys that know me, I just kind of answer questions. I don't sugarcoat too much, but I think sometimes we
Thank you. Okay, Albert, if you need the question reread, Rick Harrison will reread it.
Rick, would you please read that again?
You bet. What are your plans to ensure student and staff safety in a situation such as the one in Grantsville in January?
You know, again, a very unfortunate circumstance, and I fear that I'm concerned about the mental health and stability of the students in this society and the way things are today. We talk about them having so much contact through texting and social media and stuff like that, but the kids need face-to-face social interaction. And I think that we've got to be aware, we've got to help teachers and parents see the warning signs or the beginning of the warning signs. And I think we need to all educate ourselves that we can help these students and families through these difficult times. Some have more challenges than others, and we need to be aware of those situations. And again, I agree with Bob. We need to be able to help immediately.
Thank you. Sandy, if you need the question reread, please ask Rick Harrison.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm afraid that with our COVID and the kids being out of school, their inability to socialize with one another might create some challenges ahead for us. I think our teachers and our staff, if need be, need training. We need to make sure that the communication with our students is open so that they feel freely that they can come and speak with people at school. The students and their involvement at school in the groups that they have, the students, I know that my granddaughter's involved in a group that supports kids that have troubles and need someone to talk to, and they have groups within themselves that help other students. So training our teachers and getting our kids involved to help one another.
Thank you. Rick, do we have any more questions?
We do not have any other questions, so go ahead and proceed with the final comments.
Okay, so at this time, each of you will have 3 minutes to just kind of give us your final thoughts. We'll go Albert, Sandy, and then Bob.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to meet with everybody and to share with the other candidates our feelings. I'm going to be kind of blunt. Right now, I think in Tooele School District, the tail is wagging the dog. I believe that the Board of Education needs to step up and set the policy. The transparency fiscally and with policy, and it not being even across the board in all the schools. I look at the dress policy right now. That was left several years ago after the incident at Stansbury to be done to the individual schools. Nothing came up. Now the board has taken upon themselves, which I think they should have to begin with, to set that policy so that it's across the board for everybody. I believe we really need to rethink the bond. I think that the amount of money that is being asked out there for different facilities is way too high. I've been to Cedar Valley High School. I've been to the new Mountain Ridge High School. Those buildings were built for 2,400 students at a cost of $80 million. We don't need a $100 million school with a lot of aesthetics. We need schools that are functional, safe, comfortable, and we also need to find a way to retain teachers and to allow classroom teachers to teach and not be so trodden down by data and the data that has to be created. I think it's unfair to the classroom teacher. And I think that we've got to do everything to ensure. I also think that district office administratively, we're really heavy. And I think we need to rethink some of that so that we can put our money into the classroom where the kids are and that we can offer a better education. I don't know if staying in the small school genre like Washington County and Cass County have done is going to work for Tooele County School District. We have become a Wasatch Front community. And I think we need to look at that, and maybe we offer more educational opportunities by having larger schools. I think we need to collaborate more with cities and the county in providing some facilities for the community to use, but also I'm totally opposed to graduation at the Huntsman Center. But we don't have anything here, but I'm still totally opposed to that because that's not fair to our business people, and the Huntsman Center is not in Tooele County where our kids attend schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy, you have 3 minutes for some final thoughts.
Well, I just want to add that I think our schools, we have turned into a large community. We have large class sizes. Our teachers are being tasked with heavy loads. And I do think that, I think we do a fantastic job. Let me say it that way. I'm just as blunt as Bob and Al. I think our teachers and our staff do a fantastic job with our schools. There's a lot goes into running the schools, as you all can see. I'm a little bit outclassed here with Bob and Al and all of their experience in the school, but I can tell you that I am willing to learn. I come to you with my heart to put in the right place for our students, for our teachers, for our staff. I agree. I don't think we ought to have graduation at the Huntsman Center. We went to California to a graduation for a nephew, and they had it on the football field. I mean, kids can sit outside for heck's sakes. But I think our staff does a fantastic job. And my hat's off to every one of you that participate in our children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren's education. I think you do a fabulous job. And I want to be a member of this fantastic team. And thank you for having me tonight. And it was good to see everybody. And thank you again.
Thank you, Sandy. All right, Bob, you have 3 minutes just for some final thoughts.
Well, I basically talked about my opinion of maintaining growth. I mean, you know, my mantra is that we have to manage growth. We just can't chase it all the time. And that's what we're doing. We're chasing it continually. We're just not getting ahead of it. But my big concern, one of my big concerns is the poaching of teachers. We have a steady stream of teachers leaving the district. And not just teachers, we have support staff and everyone leaving the district because of higher wages. Twilla's got, even though, we feel like we're a Wasatch Front community, we're not, because we don't have the same tax base and those type of things, but Twilla's got to become competitive in what they do with their employees and to maintain these good teachers. The other thing is we've got to allow teachers to teach. We assess our kids to death. A lot of the assessment, we don't even get the information back. And so I'm concerned about how this, and I was a teacher for 37 years. I understand assessments. I understand, kids making goals and meeting goals, but let's just be honest. The RISE test, the former SAGE test, it was all about funding or school grades. That's the bottom line. And we've made education about dollars. It shouldn't be about dollars. It should be about students. It should be about allowing our teachers to use their creativity, use their expertise in their areas to allow them to teach the kids. They know what needs to be done. We've picked up all different types of things. Probably in the last 6 or 7 years that I was teaching, I attended 2 or 3 different workshops a year. And it was like the flavor of the month group. We always was adopting something else that we needed to try. How about if we just settle in and we just do a good job teaching? I think that's what needs to happen. But I think, the people in our district offices and principals, they should become lead educators, not managers. They should be helping with the educational process. My dad was a principal for years. His job was, he was the lead educator in that building. He knew what was going on in classrooms. I'm not so sure all the time. So I think that needs to happen. And then I think we just need to build on that collaborative spirit. We need parent input. We cannot make decisions in a silo. I think too many times board members just vote to vote. They don't want to state their opinion in the public meeting because they don't want to become a matter of record. I guarantee you, being elected, I don't care. I will say what's on my mind. And it's okay if it's a public part of the public record. And I'm not intimidated easily. I watch board members and they'll watch what their friend or watch what the person across the room is going to do as far as a vote. If I vote, it's what I feel, and it's what I have studied and what I have found from the constituents. And that's how I plan on handling it. I'll vote for the constituents I represent.
Thank you, Bob. At this time, we will turn it over to Rick for just our closing statements.
Thank you, Ashlyn, and thank you for moderating tonight. First, I'd like to express my appreciation for our 3 candidates tonight who have come out and spent some time with us and let us get to know them better and let us get to know the things that they are passionate about concerning education. And I really want to express, as a teacher and as a member of our community, the passion that I feel from all 3 of our candidates tonight about education and about our community. And I thank you for that. I'd like to wish all of you the best of luck in this upcoming election. And we look forward to working with you as school board members, whoever ends up being elected. And we look forward to working with those that aren't elected as we continue to move forward with education in our community. So again, I'd like to thank you for being part of this tonight and thank those members of the community who came out and were part of this opportunity to get to know our candidates. So thank you again, everybody, and have a great night.